Friday morning, I'm pretty sure.
And we've got a lot of places with them bike racks, and I.
Yeah,
Down here,
I wanna be there early.
The Friday morning sessions are usually the best.
I don't Saturday.
That's what I say.
I'll be able to put the car.
Yeah, I might.
I thought you were
Yeah, we go.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, we're gonna reconvene, meeting.
There's things on the new business I need to go over, that we need to discuss for the meeting next week. First thing I have on my agenda is the Westfield Recreation deposits. Because of the construction that's going to go onto the field, there were some recreation groups that had put deposits down a few years ago. For example, one put down 1,000. I think the deal was about 3 years ago that it's $500 that we would keep, and there would be $500 that we would return to them should the fields be in good condition, so on and so forth. There's one group we talked to that actually had documentation to this effect. There's a few others that said, well, we have that agreement, but there's no paper agreement. I just need to have a brief discussion on this, that those recreation groups that, because they can't use the field this summer, want their deposit returned. So I'm gonna need some guidance from council, or should we do it?
Is that deposit yearly, or does it last for 3 years? How's it work?
There was really no set policy on that, from what I understand.
Well, what happened was, like I say, still like use baseball gave $500. Okay? And they said, well, if the field's good, we'll give you the $500 back. Well, the organization said, just keep it for next year.
So that's why the money
Roll over.
rolled
It's
over.
rolling over.
Right. So they gave the 500
They
initially.
gave money,
They
did
didn't give it back.
they check the field, anything wrong? Did
Right.
they say,
But
let's
just said
move?
leave it go.
I mean, if they can't use the field this year, I'd say kick it back.
I would recommend that, with discussion and good documentation, we retain that fee. Once we have the recreation board in place, and then we can have some policies, and we can start anew with those kind of arrangements. So it doesn't involve very many groups. I think it's only about 3 or 4.
What kind of money we talking about?
Not about $500 a group, about 2,000.
They have documentation.
No.
See that? No.
That's my point. One that does, the other ones don't.
One dozen, they probably all have.
They should, because there was definitely a written, there was stuff where there was policy.
Mr. Count.
I just need some guidance from council, if I can negotiate with them and make a poll, because right now I said no.
Okay.
Well, if we're going to use the field next year, we're not gonna be able to use it this year at all.
Right.
We're
Probably.
not gonna come back in the fall and say, now they wanna use it.
Well, that's when we'll have the board in place to set those regulations and to set those guidance, and for the board to go ahead and execute those agreements, and to have some documentation. So those that are due a return fee, I'll work with them and attempt to do
Because
it.
it sounds like, the field's gonna be done by the end of summer, is what they're hoping at. So there, there's a good chance we might be able to use it for fall. So,
Okay.
If anybody's interested, I have the exact paperwork here, and the original amount was $1,500 deposit, 1,000 would be refundable. This is a letter signed by Bob Town 3 years ago. Those are the amounts.
By who?
By who?
3 years ago.
He wasn't there.
I'm sorry, Matt Gallo, sorry.
We can discuss that, you call, I don't, maybe you were the one that sent me the emails and all that stuff, and I said, well, we discussed.
what group was that? What group were you?
I'm with the Pittsburgh NAPA, so with that league.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah.
yeah, I remember that. I wasn't sure what group you were with.
No,
We'll work it out.
thank you.
The second thing is, and dovetailing into it, at the Recreation Committee meeting last week, we discussed the possibility of forming a Park and Recreation Board, as I mentioned before. So this will be brought up at our regular meeting to have a motion to formally advertise an ordinance for the formation of a Park and Recreation Board. And we will be soliciting for interested Munhall residents who, I think within the ordinance, is a representative of the various different neighborhoods.
We haven't advertised it all.
Now, next week we'll authorize the advertisement. That's why this work session is stuff to lead up to next week.
You have to advertise in the paper, or,
We'll have to advertise a ordinance, yes.
I mean, for the
people that,
We would put a press release out, and put it on our website that any interested person, we have to set certain criteria. The criteria I would place on it is number one, that they are current on their taxes, number one. And number two, that they are a resident, and number three or four or five or six we could certainly discuss, but certainly be a resident of good standing to be representative of,
They live in Monroe.
I have to live in
But we talk about having people from different areas, though.
right, and we're gonna attempt to have
So you would have,
somebody from all.
you know, 3 quarters of people from one area. and
Different
So
geographic.
I'll have that ordinance prepared for next week, so we can review it and then authorize to advertise it.
The other thing we talked about was, we're not gonna try to load it up with, you know, not to pick one, but just, you know, have like 4 from baseball on it, or 4 from softball. We want a representative from all the groups, and even, you know, not just, you know, the persons applied don't have to have somebody playing a local sport. They just have to be a local resident and interested in serving on this board too. They can be, you know, a senior, they can be a 25-year-old or 20-year-old that may want to serve on this board. You know, we want a range of all across, you know, parents, seniors, some youth, maybe that don't have a family yet, a little bit of everything.
Okay, so also for next meeting, I'll have a resolution prepared for a multi-municipal comprehensive plan funding. We did submit a partial application to the local government academy for about $25,000 on November 1st. That was their deadline. We submitted that. We're looking at going after Allegheny County as well as the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for additional dollars. Again, that would be a multi-municipal comprehensive plan that would include Munhall, West Homestead, and Homestead. Whether we go or not is going to be dependent upon getting the funding. On a good day, we probably would not know what those final decisions are until probably late fall. Also, we're talking about a multi-municipal recreation plan, again, with Homestead, West Homestead and Munhall. This is to take a look at all the parks and the recreation areas within the 3 municipalities and submitting a funding application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Their deadline for submitting for funding application, I believe, is April 15th. So the other 2 councils will be discussing this as well. Again, it would be a study, it would be an analysis of the current conditions of our parks and our fields with recommendations for improvements in the future and what that cost would be.
And everybody should come to the party with a piece of pizza.
Okay, we do that.
All for
Covered
that.
dish. Bring a covered dish.
The other thing is, we're looking the board to make a motion next meeting to request an RFQ, request for qualifications among civil engineering, municipal engineers. Our current engineer is Chester. Certainly, we would encourage Chester to also submit their qualifications. It takes time, and it was discussed at the finance meeting that perhaps it would be time just to take a look at the whole engineering situation for us. And one way of doing that is request the qualifications from a number of competitors. So it'll be this.
It can be done at any time.
I understand that, but usually that's all done at the beginning of the year.
At the end of the year, when the budget, when we're, we're doing budgets and stuff, but our budget's already in.
First time since I've been with Dennis down there.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
we've never done it
actually-
this time of year.
We haven't really done the engineer since.
I mean, thinking about it, I think of next year, I mean, not next year in 2018, but if you're gonna look at it, maybe look at it and then you start talking budget in September and October.
Yes,
Why
that's my,
not look at it now?
thought.
Why not look at it now?
Well, we already have a budget, we don't have any problem with this engineer, I don't believe.
And we are, we have a couple big projects coming up that they're involved with.
We still have
This is
sidewalks, school
Finally,
grants.
finally, the safe routes. to
How
schools.
long did it take the sidewalk project to get done?
That may not all be their fault.
4 or 5 years.
I don't know if they can, I don't know if it's all their fault, but if it is their fault, if it is.
Well, I think it's time that we start running the borough a little differently. Instead of 5-year projects, let's get them done right away.
It's easy to
I
say.
think it's easy to say,
It's
but I
very
think
easy to
we
say,
need to
Rick.
stop doing things the way they've been done for years. And let's put things out to bid and get pricing on
We
stuff.
No
do.
problem with
always
it,
do
Rick. I
that.
just think we should wait until budget
I
time next year.
don't, I don't think.
Until like,
Why do
until
you wanna wait
October,
for?
September, when we start looking at things.
Why do you wanna wait?
Because
Give
I
me
don't
one
think we're
reason,
done with this.
why
Because-
does, give me one reason why you would wanna wait to get pricing on something. We can get a better quality engineer at a better price.
Well, we're completing the sidewalk to school grant.
Yeah, we
We've
have a
been
big
involved
project
in.
in Macon.
When you go through the process, Chester will be part of this process too. They may,
Oh, yeah.
after you look at everybody, hey,
They may be the best
they may
one.
be the best one,
That's right.
absolutely. I mean,
So why not look?
There's no decisions made, but you're like, we've never done it,
Yeah, I think it should be
Third into
done
the
later in
afternoon.
the year if we're gonna do it.
we never have, but
Yeah, we've never done it this time.
I mean, I would go with you being.
I think we
doing
should
it-
have done it a year ago.
I would go with you doing it in September or October next year when we talk budget time, finance, you know. I would go with you on it then.
Right now, they're involved in,
I'm not afraid, no.
project.
it is tough. It is
Yeah. I mean,
I
they're.
don't
You
want to
can-
change mid-year unless there's a problem with this.
You could
engineering.
go through the process, and you wouldn't want to change till the end of the year. You want to do it also.
I can only make recommendations, and this is one of the recommendations I think I made. And I certainly am telling the public, we need to get pricing on things. We need to see where we're at with things. We should be getting competitive bids on what we're doing. And it shouldn't be the good old boy network. It should be pricing, what we're getting, period.
I agree with you. Are you saying that this stuff hasn't been done? Is that what you're saying? We don't get pricing?
I haven't seen any pricing on anything. We got pricing on one thing,
We always,
on the police pension, and I was the only one that voted for the lesser cost. Everyone, the vote I voted on for $60,000, $70,000 less. You all voted on the higher priced one.
get
So
what you paid for.
let's not say we don't, because we did, and
And we
I was
do.
the only one that voted
And
for
we
the,
do.
for the better priced one. So I rest my case with that.
yeah.
Get what you pay for.
Yes, you do, and the prices we got on all them people were very good quality companies, every one of them.
As far as engineering services, you're not really looking at just price, you're looking at evaluating what we're getting for our money right now.
Right.
Are we getting the best engineers?
Are we?
The best.
Are we?
Let's get the best.
Right.
Are we?
I don't know if we can afford the best. Let's face it.
No.
It might be cheaper.
You know, it might. But I mean,
Well, until you ask.
Chester's been here since '95.
Well, I think maybe it's time
Better
to get a
just
price
not-
on something.
Been here since 95.
Yes, I think it's just the wrong time of year to do it.
Yeah.
When is the right time of the year,
At the
guys?
end of the year when we're doing. the budget.
Before budgets,
Why does it matter?
because our budget's already set.
It's already budgeted.
So what if we
The
get a lower
budget's already
number?
set.
What if we get a
And we
better
have
number?
projects in the making. We have a project in the making that's
We
been there
have
for.
one project that's
Right,
taken
it's a
them
big
5
project.
years to bring to the table.
It's more than, let's finish.
More than 5 years. That's not pretty good, guys.
I can tell you that I did submit a invoice to PennDOT for all those years, $47,000, and they bounced it back because the invoices were wrong.
So we didn't get the 47,000.
No. I have
And
a
whose
meeting with
fault's that?
PennDOT tomorrow with Chester, and it may take another 8 weeks, I don't know.
Well, there you go.
That we have to
What
look
about
into
the
that.
sewer milling that was all screwed up?
So
What that
I
cost
rest
us?
my case again. We should be putting it out to bid. We should be talking with other professional companies that are qualified, that can come in and maybe give us a better number. And if you guys would disagree, then you all can vote next week to say no. But I'm gonna bring it up on council floor again, that we need to do this. So go ahead. What's the next one, the ball?
Dovetail to number 6, again, request proposals for pension actuarial services.
I brought this up again, guys, myself. I had a meeting with the police department. Everyone was there. I had them, the actuary asked the chief of police to get a letter sent. Did you get a letter sent out?
One that was all
He
screwed
didn't
up.
get a letter sent for an MMO. Bob Callen got a letter sent for an MMO. And by the way, this is the reason why we didn't get our MMOs done for 2 or 3 years, because no one got a letter from the actuary or from PNC stating that we didn't make our payments.
So one person did, one person
Manager.
did.
Except the
The
manager,
manager
who
did
never
that,
showed
but
it
he
to
never
anyone.
showed it to anyone.
You showed the shredder.
So,
Yeah.
Now, let me
At our
make
meeting-
let me clarify with previous manager.
Not this
thank you very much.
Real clear.
So at these meetings, I directed
Take, so take them.
I directed the actuary to send a letter to the board president of the pension plan, to the manager, to the borough council president, to the chief of police, and he did not send any letters to anyone.
Rick, I was there when you did it. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you on this one.
So I feel that he didn't do his job, and we should get
I was
another
there when you did
price.
it.
What was
That's
the
the only way you
said
them out.
Anyone asked him why he didn't send the letters?
I don't think I need to ask him. When I asked him,
Well, I mean, I'm just wondering
You
why
asked
he
him to do
didn't.
it, you asked him to do it, and he didn't do it.
Make sure it got done.
Richie,
Even he said it would get done, he didn't do it. I'm with you there.
so there you go.
He said he wanted a letter asking for the letter or something.
Was that what he said?
Yeah, even though at the meeting, we asked him, he said he needed a letter asking for it, so we didn't get it, he didn't do it.
Number 7, request for qualifications for architectural services to assess and to evaluate the municipal building and its immediate property for future improvements. Like I mentioned in the first part of the meeting, I hope to have a capital improvement plan and financing structure for the next 5 years, and that's updated every year for 5 years. But this building is getting old.
70 years
I
old.
can't hear you.
It's to a point now where
It definitely needs some heating, zoning work done because it's hot as heck up here, it's cold over there. We're not spending money wisely on the running of the building. You know, the efficiency, the windows, they're probably somewhat newer windows.
they're 25 years old.
Some of the work has been done on the windows and a few other things, but I mean, this, I think this is definitely needed.
And I think someone needs to look at the clock too while we're at it.
It's so bad, we can't even buy a
You.
water fountain out here.
I look at it, I look
Nobody
at it every
uses
day.
water fountains, right?
On my way home from work, I
We
went
bring
to
the
that.
horses in to get,
No, they're afraid to get sick, that's why nobody
Well, they-
uses water
and
fountains.
again, all it is somebody using the wrong chemical.
What did you say, Ray? I'm sorry. I didn't
We
hear you.
didn't even get a water fountain out here. People go, "Oh."
Well, I just want to advise council that because we request qualifications, doesn't necessarily mean we do a deal.
That's right.
Does it cost anything to do this, the request?
I can't imagine a architect would spend a week in here going through everything without being compensated.
That's what I'm thinking, you know.
Is there any green grants out there?
The only green grants would be for storm sewer, sanitary sewer.
Nothing for roofs or buildings.
Not for municipal property.
President tomatoes on the roof.
Nothing in the near term. The other, number 8, local government academy, intern application. This is a time where the local government academy would make interns available to municipal governments. There are not very many of them. The cost is like $5 an hour for about 20 hours a week. But I would like to put in an application for an intern to help in the development of a 5-year capital improvement plan. These are graduate students in any number of disciplines,
I think that's a
finance,
good idea.
GIS, whatever it is, so.
Go right ahead, did you
Yeah,
have a
new
conversation
ideas.
with Ann over there about that, of any involved?
No.
Because, she, we have an intern over there.
Yeah, I just think, if you don't ask, you'll never know, so. But the deadline for submitting is February 20th. Another thing, not to do anything about it now, it keeps coming up, to develop a social media policy for employees and the volunteers for the agencies that the borough financially supports. This can be done in dovetail with the updating of our website, which I'll get into number 10. I did have a meeting with the person that we've awarded to. She's coming up with, right now, some type of templates. We are gathering all of our forms that we have internally here. We have to reestablish our arrangement with E-code for our codes to be electronically accessed on our site. At one time it was, it's not there anymore. Just to redesign the whole thing, but part and parcel with that, I think we should develop a social media policy. And we'll get some advice on that. Not for
Yeah,
you
we-
to do anything about it, but just to be aware.
I mean, I don't like policies that limit anybody's freedom of speech, to be honest with you. You know, but I can understand where you're coming from. I mean, I'd have to see something before I could vote on something like this.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I would, you know, because I don't like limiting anybody's freedom of speech.
Joe, we have one in place already in the PD.
But that's for certain things, I understand that. That's why I said I would have to see it. I mean, if somebody goes on their own Facebook site and says something, are we gonna limit that? I don't,
Personally,
That's
no.
what he's saying he has.
They go on now.
They have
no,
that.
I know they go on now.
That's why he has that now.
Well, okay.
Number 11, we'll need some discussion on this.
10, website design.
No, I briefly told you, we're
Oh.
working on that.
Well, I was looking
Yeah,
at
you were thinking about what you were gonna say on social.
Okay, good enough.
Sale of number 3 fire hall, we have to put that out for sealed bid, it's public-private property, we cannot just negotiate with a private group, it has to go out on sealed bid. The issue is, what would be the upset price? By that I mean, what's our asking price?
We had it done last year. It
It
says
was-
at 170.
It was appraised, but is that gonna be our asking price, I think? Because I gotta put in the proposal for those that are gonna submit bids, if we get any, what the minimum amount of bid we would accept.
You say 170 or 150?
That was the
I
assessment.
think it was the appraised value was 141.
Hey, Paul, just on the zoning though, I think we need to make it clear when we advertise what the permitted uses will be for that building, because we have a problem where people buy property, then they do whatever they want. And I
It's
think
zone R2, I believe now, right?
R1.
R1 or?
We made most of the boroughs R1 if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, there's no such thing as grandfathering. A municipality can have that building and use it for what it wants, a school district could without question. But a private person, it's a different story,
It obviously is not a residential building.
right? But the problem is, I believe that's R1.
I don't, it's probably right on the borderline, cause the old bar is right there.
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
dog is
but
right
fire
there.
hall's up
Fire hall.
amongst the houses.
And it might be right there though too, might be on the border.
Well, I think you need to clarify that so that there's not an issue.
Absolutely.
Because that was, the dog people wanted to make the, you know, everybody wants to change it, but they know what it is before they buy
Well, you have to clarify.
it. I think we need to do it when it's advertised.
It will be clarified, I guess what I need from council, what would be the bottom line price? Because if you leave it open-ended and someone comes in at $500 and that's the only, you always have a right to throw it out, but
assessed last year, Bob?
we
It's
had
about
it
141, he said.
140, yeah.
we had it appraised and the appraised came in at 141,000.
Okay, so we need to figure out where, how low we'll go.
Again, we could discuss that next week, but that's an item we need to discuss.
Usually you go more than the appraised price, don't you?
Go either way.
You could have a high end and a low end.
Put a minimum bid down.
You could take, you know, we'll take the best, highest bid, but you don't take any lower than this, you know. But you're not gonna take any
I
lower
don't
than
think, I
120
don't think
or
you would get
whatever.
140,000.
No,
No, I don't.
but you have a minimum bid to start with.
Right.
so.
I don't think you get 100.
Why should it stay the hell over there?
We'll set a minimum bid and see what you get. We'll have to come up with-
And then lastly, we do have an application, I don't have the details in front of me, we have to adopt a resolution. A person wants to purchase a vacant property through the Allegheny County Vacant Property Program. They meet all the requirements, what is needed is a resolution from council to have that person acquire that property through the vacant. Again, I don't have the details.
Oh, you got the paperwork
I
from
got
the
the
county?
paperwork, we have to officially adopt a
Is
resolution.
it a side lot that they have,
I
or?
believe it is, and I'll have to see it next week.
Okay.
I just letting you know that we have to bring this up at the meeting next week. That's all I have.
Any other?
I want to talk about one thing about, I had a resident, and I talked with Dave about this. Where did Dave live?
Well,
He left.
they,
Resident, neighbor, their downspouts are coming out of their yard, the neighbor's yard, and Dave will talk about this too. The water's coming down onto the sidewalk, freezing the her yard up from her neighbor's downspout. And it's not a little, it's like 3 inches of ice on this woman's sidewalk. And she said, what can I do? Well, I called the county health department up and talked to them about it. They do have regulations regarding that, and they would not permit that. Munhall, though, having our own water ordinances for rainwater. They don't have any obligation to enforce any of their codes here. Munhall does, so Dave would enforce the codes. Now, talking with Dave, he said that that's perfectly okay for the woman for the neighbor to discharge water onto the sidewalk and it to run down the property and freeze up on the other neighbor's property. Now, I don't think that's right. I think that that's not proper.
Was that the woman that fell?
I don't
on
know.
that street?
What street you
Is
talking
that the same one you had last year, Harv?
about? I'm asking. What
This street
It was
is Emerson.
Yeah, it's the same lady.
It's
Same
Emerson.
lady,
Same
same lady
lady.
from last
street?
year.
You talking about Sandy? Oh, yes.
Sandy, yes.
When we talked about it, the water, the situation is definitely there. But you can actually go back and make the person who's discharging the water go underneath the sidewalk and take it back out into the street.
No, he says you don't have to.
I know, but you could,
That's where
that's
mine-
the only way you're gonna clear it
Well,
up.
this is the story, here goes the whole thing, once they start, when they made people disconnect the
Right.
rainwater, Chester Engineers said, here goes your options. You run out into the street, you can run it out into your sidewalk, you can run it out into your yard, you can run it down your driveway. You cannot run it towards your neighbor's structure.
Not the Eddie Patrick's yard, I know that.
You cannot run it towards your neighbor's structure. Okay? When we went out and looked at that house, we locked the house in two.
In your sidewalk, naturally it's gonna run down.
Yeah, we
Greg's
could.
saying
Absolutely.
water runs down
Here goes
here.
the problem with that. I had engineers on everything. Actually, the lady's sidewalk, where it's staying, is against code. So if she would correct her sidewalk, that problem would go away.
I
Okay?
disagree, and for one thing, I just
We had
think
engineers out there and everything.
it's a
okay?
terrible practice to run your water onto your sidewalk, period.
Well,
When
we
it's-
have
Sorry,
one
guys,
barn.
that's an F in plumbing.
When the consent decree come out,
Residents
Right.
that
When the
are gonna
consent
have to
decree
spend
come out.
thousands of dollars to
Right.
dig underneath the ground and put them out into the street then.
And then
If
we had,
someone
and then
walks in
Rick,
front of your house
I'm
and
just telling you.
falls on your sidewalk.
Rick, we
I
had
understand
the,
what you're saying.
we have the problem up Hilltop, and the guy ran
It's the same way.
the guy ran it out into the street. The neighbor fell. Because it was running out onto the street. Right now, what they recommend is to run it into a green area or into, store, or, what do you call it?
Rainbow.
Rainbow. Those are the two options they run now. It's been changed the last 7 years.
when the consent decree come out, we knew there was gonna be a problem.
We knew
This is going back to 2000.
So if we as the council have the authority to make a regulation on governing that, we should.
Well, there is they look at it now, it's changed. Their requirements now have changed, and Mike should be able to talk about it.
Mike's the sewer authority.
We don't do anything with telling them how to regulate it. All we care about is whether or not they removed it. And we still steer clear of giving them advice. As a matter of fact, we tell them to contact you. And if they don't do that, then they run the risk of causing a problem that they may be liable for.
Right. And it's not a public nuisance, I put that in your thing, it's a private
Because
nuisance.
nothing's changed as far as any of our.
The lady has the option to go down to magistrate and file a complaint saying that their property is causing damage to.
And we also have the option of changing the ordinance.
You can change the ordinance.
We had a call today,
We can change the ordinance.
we had a call this week, lady, I don't know if it's the same lady, neighbor installed a sump pump, pushing all the water out of the streets, all these things.
My neighbor across the street has a sump pump, had it for years. It comes right out, warm days like we had, it's fine, but tomorrow morning, it'll be frozen right towards where my daughter parks her car. It's,
Mine goes right out in the street, and so do both of my neighbors.
it's there.
And it's all there, and we have a sheet of ice in front of our
It's
houses.
a problem.
It's a
I
problem.
mean,
And they're not allowed to put them in the sanitary sewer
Yeah,
like they
put
used
'em
to.
in the sanitary.
That's where you're at.
So we have more than one problem with one person.
I'm just
we just
saying.
we have a lot of salt, we keep a lot of salt, we try to salt and try to.
Well, how would you solve it? How would you solve the
People on
problem?
Woodhill, they got that.
That's another.
Same
one.
way, same way.
How would you solve the problem, Rich? How would you fix it?
Ideally, you wanna run the line out to the street.
Okay.
That's your only solving.
But then the streets
Then-
get all.
Well, then you create a public nuisance.
Because everyone's is doing it at that time. This sump pump issue is one that comes up on a random basis. that if everyone is directing their water to the street at the same time, then your public works crew has to go out and
It's
solve
gonna be
it.
an ice skating rink.
Because everybody is having issues.
And that's why we have floods down on Shady, comes, you know, summertime with the big rains. All this water that used to go into this, you know, the sanitary sewers, now is out in the street. You got viaducts, the streets are viaducts coming right down to Shady and all the way down. You can bring a boat. You can bring a raft and, you know, go on your raft and go all the way down, the rapids. That's the way it is. I don't know what the, I don't know what the.
The problem started with the new mandates they
This
had,
is all
whatever,
Allegheny
10 years
County.
ago, the new mandates
Allegheny
caused brought
County,
this
it's
problem
everywhere.
on.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's the mandates.
Our
that-
hilly,
I know
our hilly
it's
terrain,
everywhere.
So,
our hilly terrain, nothing's flat, it runs.
yeah, that's the way it is. I
We
don't
can
know
have
what the
these-
pro- I don't know what the
We didn't have
answer
the
is.
problem when they didn't tell you you couldn't mix storm water with,
The
They
Alpha
have
doesn't
very-
want that.
I don't know that it's, I think it's more changing weather patterns than that. I mean, that does contribute to it, but that's not what's causing it.
How would
The
you
mandates
enforce
that
it
cost us a
anyway?
lot of money.
You're gonna take, how would you
Want
enforce
more
it
water.
anyway? I mean, you're gonna take 1,000 people to the magistrate every week because everyone's had to do it, you know?
If you put them on.
I live probably 100 feet from my street, so that's digging up from each downspout, digging down probably 20, 30 feet to discharge mine from my gutters and downspouts.
You put it out in the street.
You know, I mean,
It's
and
gonna freeze out in the
And
street.
how
Yeah,
much, you
that's-
think, how much would that cost?
And you have
that's what I'm
cars.
saying, I mean, the
Really,
cost
they're
for
really
someone like
really
myself would be
sidewalk.
astronomical, let alone the senior population that we
Not
have
really.
on.
Not really.
How do you figure?
How do you figure astronomical? What's astronomical?
What
I
if
mean,
that's
let's-
astronomical to me is $1,000,
We'll have to find a plumber to do it pro bono.
right?
You know, you go.
I've done a lot of pro bono work.
Well, that's
But I'm
nice.
just saying, there's thousands of residents that had to take their gutters and downspouts out of the sewer system
Right.
because it was enforced.
Right.
Okay, so what my thing is, pass the ordinance, but how are you gonna enforce it?
Well,
You're gonna take
You
2,000
enforce it when you
residents?
have a problem.
There aren't that many. There's only 1,171 people that filled the eye test. And on most of those fixes, 65% of them were just raising your fresh air vents, which didn't cause any increase in water to speak of. But the other ones where you have disconnected downspouts, we had people disconnect downspouts, and that wasn't what the problem was.
Whenever you run whenever you run a rain conductor onto a sidewalk, and then you have little kids walking down the sidewalk, you got a problem. People fall. That's an issue.
We also have a problem with people not shoveling their walks. You know, I mean, there's, again, what are you gonna do, take 1,000 people, we have our, you know, safe zone to school. Is it shoveled every time it snows? Not even a chance.
You're gonna
It's
take the
not
problem
close.
from the sidewalk and take it to the street, that's all it's gonna
I
be.
just sent out 15 letters from
I
people
understand.
from Main Street, or from the cemeteries up, safe route around the school, 15 letters. And like he says, it's the same people, and I get yelled at. 2 years ago, I sent a letter out. The guy comes down, he goes, I can't believe you're making my 82-year-old dad shovel his sidewalks within 24 hours. I said, well, there's kids walking to school. 5 minutes later, a lady comes in and says, I can't believe you allow kids walking the street because I almost hit one because these sidewalks are clean.
Can I ask a very basic question? If it's only 3 or 4, or like a handful of houses that are problems, can you pass the ordinance and just not enforce it on anybody except very egregious?
It's more than 3 or 4.
No, it's more, you can't do
That's
that.
not,
Nah.
It's all or none.
It's all or none. You gotta be fair and consistent.
It's all or none.
Joe, you got anything else?
I have nothing.
Vern,
No, I'm good.
I'm good. I ain't asking you.
You don't have
Larry, you got anything?
Yeah, I got about 12
Yeah.
seconds.
Oh,
You get them
no.
down to
Come
6.
on.
No, I just wanted to report that yesterday we were at the hosted fire meeting. The chief and I, we were the only two from Glen Holland. We discussed ways not only to aid, but help those, the people that are displaced and everything like that. There were a lot of good agencies from the county and Salvation Army and all that. It was a productive meeting, except towards the end, where everybody started to get into their personal, like a little rowdy in there. But otherwise, we were well represented in Mohall. We took part in it and assured them that we're there to assist them in the Still Valley, no matter who it is. The other thing is, while we were down there, I was talking to, what's his name, Hurley from the county.
Oh, Hurley.
Yeah, and we discussed a little bit about the flyover. He said they're moving it ahead as far as the guardrail goes. So that's some good news, that's some encouraging news. But I don't know if he talked to you yet or about it or not. last night, so. And finally, I'm just curious to know is, when, besides our tax anticipation, real estate status or mailing of the bills, when will that be? Any estimate?
We received the bills at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, great.
Wow.
We're going through them now, and they'll be delivered to the mail company for processing, and they should be out in people's mailboxes by Saturday at earliest, Monday at latest.
Great.
And by the way, if I just may mention, it's not just Monroe, it's every municipality in Allegheny County. It's been late because of Allegheny County assessment getting the details.
County executive will be here Sunday, we can tell him about it.
Just real quick, Ed, could you give us an update on the gentleman who was hurt in the fire? How's he doing?
I will. Actually, I did go see him at the hospital. He did fall off a ladder, he broke his femur,
Yeah.
2 places, and both kneecaps.
What I heard.
That was
That was a great thing that Garth Brooks did for him, though.
It was, and for that report, I'll defer to my deputy, Brian. He can give a better report than I can, and Brian knows him very well. So.
He knows Garth Brooks.
Yeah, Garth Brooks for sure.
How's he doing, Brad?
He's in Kane Regional Hospital out in the Keysport rehab. His rehab's actually going on a lot better than they anticipated. For the first week or so, I should say, he wasn't even able to bend his knees. The morphine drips and whatnot he was on, it had him at maximum levels. So while at Kane now, just actually today, he's actually first time able to bend and get up. So he's using a walker to do a little rehab around the hospital. But he's got a long road ahead of him.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take him a long time. And the best thing in his favor is his age.
Yeah.
How old
At
is
this
he?
point, 19.
Yeah, he's young. I know a little bit about what he's going through. I had both of mine done at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, he's,
That's Jeff Scripps.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Brad.
yeah, no problem.
Just died.
His grandfather just died today.
I'm
Or
sorry.
yesterday. You hear that?
No.
His grandfather died yesterday he was in the same place as you.
Oh, wow.
We just found out. So. He's got a lot going on.
The meeting that the mayor and I were at last night, one of the topics was, the cleft of the rock down on Ninth Avenue. Homestead, their residents, their business owners had a lot of complaints about that. I spoke to Jay Costa, he was asking some questions. He said he would like to, help us, help Homestead in that regard. We've all had a lot of problems with that, that facility down there. So Jay.
Ninth and Dixon, is that what you're talking about, Ninth and Dixon?
Yeah.
The old church there, the church.
I know what you mean, I've been in there.
Church / halfway house.
Yeah, I was down Mike Aldridge's about a month ago, and they were all, Sunday afternoon, they're all piled in the alley in the corner there. And I said to Mike, he says he's never had a problem with it. I find it hard to believe.
I can also add to that, Cleft of the Rock as well. 2 months ago, I did a surprise official fire inspection, which I requested Boomer to go along, and they didn't want to let us in. We had to get the police department to let us in, which by code and ordinance, we have the authority to do at any time in any business in this town. We can go in and do a surprise inspection, it's in the ordinance. So they caught their attorney on the phone, and the attorney allowed us to go in. So we did the inspection. The inspection was done by people with an actual certification for that. We went in and did it. Lots of violations we've been working on with Boomer.
How many people are living?
Well, you know what, I'd have to look at the report, I don't remember, but they had exit doors blocked, they don't have enough smoke detectors, or, there were some issues, which I'm not sure if we had disposition on that yet or not.
10 years
Whether it
ago,
went back to you?
there was sewage issues there.
Right, there was raw sewage.
There was raw
pouring
sewage, they should have been shut down.
Because we're due to go back for a re-inspection, to make sure that they corrected the deficiencies that we found. If they didn't, that's when he takes them to court and
Check on the sewage issues, that was a big issue.
It's safety issue. It's
When I
a
was-
big problem.
When I was in there were people just laying on the floors everywhere.
Yeah, this
is.
like an old
You have to meet certain occupancy requirements, and doors have to be so wide, in order for you to have, you can't just have people laying on the floors. It
Laying on the
increases
floor.
because there's a lot of.
Don't forget they're tax exempt too.
The churches, I thought we won that case,
Yeah,
but they're not.
Yep, now they're back to being, they're still
They're
tax,
back.
those few years they appealed, but they're still being back to being tax exempt now, right?
And you'll see them in the alley in the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
We were there last week, we got a call there, county probation went there, they had a warrant for somebody. She didn't want to let us in. Afterwards, and she called me complaining about a legal search. And I told her, we escorted probation on her, plain and simple. She said, Sergeant Tishon was a perfect gentleman. I said, why are you calling me? I said, call probation. Probation has the right, they have a lot more rights than we do. If you're on probation, they don't need a warrant, they can walk into your place at any time. That's the place where he was staying. She was uncomfortable with that. I'll say, you know, it's.
I know when you get close to them, they get real uncomfortable outside. I come up the alley on a cleanup day on a Saturday, with a crew clean up the alley. As soon as we got within 20 feet, they scattered. They don't want anybody, you know.
I know Dan's had many problems with him, him living right across the alleyway. The Rainbow Kitchen was one of the biggest ones complaining about them. Because from what I understand, they give their whole cereal in the morning, they kick them out, and they're left to fend for themselves most of the day. They come back around dinner time. So they go right down to Rainbow Kitchen and eat everything they can eat, and, you know.
We walk around the whole neighborhood.
Right, they're
They
on
could
the
be in
alley,
someone's
they're all
yard, or
armed,
someone, you know, peeping in someone's house.
Right.
You don't know what to do.
It's a problem. So I spoke to Jay down there last night, he's gonna help us look into it a little more.
Well, Dan talked about how them sitting on his stoop in his business, come down and they harass people getting out of cars. And it's, I'm not saying they all come from there.
No, I think they're having a lot of problems with panhandling down there. So,
I guess on another depressing note is, next meeting, Rex will be retired.
yes.
Also,
Jimmy Williams.
Jimmy Williams, Rob, you can say
They'll
something.
be on.
I'm gonna do, I wrote an essay for Jimmy Williams for the work he's done with Project Lifesaver. And he won the KDK Hometown Hero Award. Only 5 were accepted. And at that meeting, I'm gonna present my letter to him that helped him get this Hometown Hero Awards. Only helped him get it. There was other people that submitted things too.
Mike D's.
But I'm gonna present it to him there. Mike D knows.
Okay, yeah, he's coming.
Absolutely, very good.
So, and Rex's medal, I'm gonna hopefully get it tomorrow, because I'm taking Friday off.
I'm counting.
If not tomorrow, maybe I'll.
We wanna get it before you get your real estate tax bill.
Okay.
Anything else?
241 Marion Street.
What?
The house fire.
Yeah.
You may wanna do something with that ASAP.
Yeah.
Like what? Demolish?
Demolish it. I got estimates from 4 different companies, ranging from 5,500 to 1,000, or 10,000.
We, there's no insurance on it, it's a hazard.
Lady has no insurance,
As a
it's a
local
traffic
government,
hazard.
as a hazard, we should, thank you for bringing that up.
Do we lean her in the amount of the 5,500? Whatever we spend on demolition?
We would leave the property, yes.
We'll never get it, but
Is there any money left in the emergency fund for the COG?
No, they're not, no, Joe, everything, if you look at your,
Yeah, I mean, it was allocated.
there's,
I would have to take it out of the public works budget somehow, we find it.
Even, they called me to ask me if they do
What
tear
public
down who wants to look at it?
The fire marshal, before they rip it down, the fire marshal wants to get back in there.
Find something.
There was too much crap, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
There was too much debris, for us to even dig down to where we normally have to go to find out the root cause of an ignition source, so, before we actually tear that down.
Are there any neighbors that wanna buy it?
I already got a call, the next door neighbor wants to take over the lot, but you don't wanna pay for it.
They don't wanna pay for
That
it.
will pay for the lien that we put on it.
There's not a lot structurally sound in that building. All the floors are sagging at least a foot and a half everywhere. The roof is completely gone. If it were one that burned down, needed to, and unfortunately, it's a brick building, it's barely, the structure on the exterior is sound, that's it.
probably 30 years.
Was there a road problem?
40 years old, probably that house.
If there was, Barney, they left long before I got
hell, they're still there.
No, he's more down the 8 now.
There will be.
Okay, Art, do your thing.
There will be.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll do that.
I need a second.
Oh, wait, Rich has one.
I was Rich.
They were ready to adjourn the meeting.
Since we're on this subject about houses, what about that house on Margaret Street? What's going on with that one that was burned down?
That's supposed to be being torn down through COG.
Who caused?
Yeah.
Is it on the list now?
Yeah.
Well, that's an eyesore too.
We're going through the legal processes
It takes a
now
while.
on 8 different properties right now, probably about a few
Yeah,
months.
it's on the list.
Okay.
Motion, second, all in favor? Bye.
Can I ask something before you leave, just real quick?
I'll listen.
Go ahead.
I got no choice.
After the presentation tonight, and they were saying they're looking at the end of summer for everything to be done, did the borough, speak with Mr. Dukar on an appropriate groundbreaking ceremony?
Yeah, that's something we should
Just
do.
something that.
I've been discussing that.
I'm sure we'd like to have, Mr. Campbell come in too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, we wanna make it a, where, you know, a good time for
Yeah,
him
and
to
I'm
be
sure
here.
the school district.
He's supposed to be here in June, but I don't think he'll-
We will have the delegation.
Big one.
the Lions Golf guy, talked to Darrell Hess about being here for that, it's June 19th.
That's part of the focus on baseball game. He brings all those people.
I think he has a flash page of picture.
He's drawing us to that, he's taking the whole class around.
Is the date on it?
You make that.
He wasn't checking
It'll be the first elevator down.
You can't take it, you know, you can't take it with you.
Yeah, I know that. I've been out there, buddy. I know it all, like.
I was fighting with him before we went across. Imagine that.
When do you leave? 19?
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
He's really depressed.
I've been trying to find out for the water table with the ground.
I'm not gonna be in it all tomorrow, but
Now, our sidewalk on Redwood. Regoes up on my.
okay, well, I have your emails and everything, and I'll have, maybe in about 2 weeks.
Just talk to Becky or?
Yeah, talk to Becky, and then, I just have to turn this off because it's picking up our conversation.